Toby Perkins. Speaker, this budget was a huge wasted opportunity, as well as an acknowledgement of failure. I think those of us who listened to the speech of the Foreign Secretary today were staggered that he spent longer talking about penguins and plastic bags than he did acknowledging Brexit, the most serious threat to our economy. Now, I was one of those MPs that campaigned for Remain but found their constituents in Chesterfield voted Leave. And so I am in a position where I'm willing to go out there and say to my constituents, I will support the vote that you've given. But we are asking the government to give us a sense that there is a plan, that there is a basic competence in the negotiating that they are doing on Britain's behalf. And there is a real need for the government to seize the moment, as huge as it is, and show us that they are on top of the opportunities that are presented. We now are seeing a government making ludicrous claims of the kind that we couldn't nationalise things like the trains if we were within the EU, utterly discredited things that suggest they have nothing left to say about how to actually make Brexit work. Now, I was elected in May 2010 on a programme that promised to halve the deficit in 2015 and eradicate it by 2020, a plan that was ridiculed by the Tories as inadequate and consigning our children to a lifetime of paying down debt. It now seems wildly optimistic in comparison to the performance of this government. We heard from the Honourable Gentleman talking about debt as though he wasn't a member of a party that's increased the debt by £1 trillion, £500 billion since they've been in since 2010. They have no credibility on deficit or debt whatsoever. In 2010 they told us it would be gone by 2015. By 2014 it was going to be gone by 2018. Now we're told, well, it might be gone by 2025. I'm willing to bet my house that by 2025 this country will still have a deficit. So there is no credibility for the Tories to talk about the deficit. And instead what we've got is a budget that fails to address any of the key infrastructure questions or any of the key questions that might see our economy moving in a more positive direction. There was nothing in this budget about social care, one of the key threats to our national security. There was nothing there about the local government crisis, inadequate investment in the NHS, schools in deprived areas facing a real funding crisis. This was a budget that could have championed a real growth programme and saw infrastructure investment of the sort that will make Britain a more attractive place to invest in the future at a time when apprenticeship starts are absolutely collapsing. So this is a budget that has failed the test of the moment. I would like to speak briefly about universal credit. There was a failure to recognise the need to make universal credit work for people who are not close to work. I welcome some of the measures taken to alleviate organisational failures, but the fact is that it doesn't work for the self-employed, and universal credit is positively cruel for the disabled. I heard in questions last week protestations of the Right Honourable Member for Chingford, who recognises how his legacy is being tarnished, and the actions on housing and homelessness were utterly inadequate. So, Mr. Speaker, the tragedy of this budget is the tragedy of this government, out of ideas, more interested in their own survival than the national interest, unable to grasp the size of the moment that a combination of the ties of history and their own ineptitude has brought upon us all. Where we needed investment and innovation, what we got was obfuscation and confusion. Where we needed decisive action to rescue universal credit, we got a partial tidy up of failures that never should have been there. Nothing on social care, nothing on NHS, a catastrophe out of our schools, a deficit that will last till the end of ever, a failed budget from a failing government that really have run out of ideas. It's time for them to step aside for a party that hasn't.
Julie Lopez.